Welcome to the Woodpreneur podcast, the best podcast for the business and marketing side of the sawmill, lumber, and wood industry. What's a woodpreneur? If you have a business where you make money as a woodworker, sawmill owner, selling slabs, or a content creator, then you're a woodpreneur. My name's Steve Larosiliere, and I started Woodpreneur Life, Acres of Timber, and the Woodpreneur podcast just for makers, wood entrepreneurs, and small business owners just like you. We're on a mission to empower thousands of wood businesses to grow sustainably and put out great products. Each week, I interview makers, sawyers, content creators, and 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs that know the wood industry inside and out. With topics covering everything from the urban lumber movement, sustainable sourcing and design, we'll discuss the ins and outs of how to grow, monetize, and fully immerse yourself in the woodpreneur lifestyle. If you're a hobbyist, a full-time wood business owner, part-time entrepreneur who wants to become a content creator, or quit your day job to pursue your dreams, the Woodpreneur podcast is just for you. Thanks so much for listening. Now enjoy this episode. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. Here's your host, Steve Larosiliere. Today's guest is Tedd Benson from Bensonwood. How you doing, Tedd?
Doing well, and looking forward to chatting.
Absolutely. Give us the history. How did Bensonwood start?
Well, it's a bit of a long history. This began, well over 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was a young, carpenter, builder, working my way through college,
Oh,
and
5 years old. I was about to say of 5 years old.
yeah. So I obviously you can tell by the way I look now, I must have been very, very young.
You're very young, yeah. Well, you're aging well, so.
Yeah. But I had a passion for carpentry, and there were two parts of it. One is I saw kind of an ugly side of carpentry and building where some of the trades were not performing well. And then I also had the opportunity to work with some really accomplished master builder carpenters and I thought, well, the world should be more like this. And uh, I also became really enchanted in that period with the history of timber framing, which is the
Okay.
way all homes and barns and churches and it's basically the way early America was built. And as I learned more about that, I kind of had this idea, why did that craft die? Why
Mm-hmm.
did that way of building pass? And couldn't we make it practical and efficient again in the 20th century? So that's really, kind of the origin of our company,
Yeah.
kind of based on an illogical dream, but a dream that we were able to bring to reality. So that's the beginning of it.
That's great. What was your ambition for the business when you first started? And like what kept you going?
Yeah, I'm the sixth of 11 children, and I grew up in Colorado Springs. And there's a little bit of a long story that I'll make short, which is eventually my parents found an incredibly good quality home that they were able to afford. And it changed my life, and it changed the life of my siblings to, have the opportunity to be in a decent, well built house. And I came to believe that, one of the ways we can make a difference in people's lives is in high quality home building. So my original dream was to bring timber framing back into the 20th century, now the 21st, and make it viable again for high quality home building that would be accessible and affordable for more people. So that was the real beginning of it. And since our company began in the 1970s, when there were two energy crises, there was also an idea about a new standard of building where all homes should be more energy efficient. So, so the two pieces of it were homes that had more of a craft heritage, that is, through high quality timber frame the high quality timber frame concept that I was enchanted with, but also a higher level of insulation and air tightness that became, a critical factor in how we're going to solve the energy crisis, now the climate crisis.
Yeah, that's so but that, I mean, I guess maybe being from New England, or like being there and the energy crisis, and you saw the impact that having a well-built home had on your upbringing, that sort of converge with this passion of carpentry, of being able to start something.
Exactly. There were, several ingredients, and one of them, of course, was homes matter in people's lives, and
Yeah.
the other part
Yeah,
is,
no, no,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Did you see me perk up just now? Yeah, no, that's I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that 1,000%, because the home is the basis of what, like, just comfortable living, right? Like, if
yeah,
you have a comfortable, stable home that's well built, and everything flows.
yeah,
It's like that safety, security
yeah.
in one's life, right?
Right. Yes. So think of that. If we can get to the point where your home is the safest, healthiest, most secure place you can be, what a difference it can make in people's lives. As families and children are developing their lives, it's everything. Let's face it.
Oh, and by the way, you're using nature to make that happen.
Yeah, yeah, natural materials.
Natural materials. Yeah,
Yeah,
you feel better. It feels nice on your feet. It feels nice on, like, like being in that space. It feels really good.
yeah.
That,
So that's how our company began, and that goes back to the 1970s. And my interest in reviving timber framing actually came to fruition. I
mm,
wrote 4 books on the subject eventually,
wow,
and was a co-founder of the Timber Framers Guild of North America.
wow.
And today there are, literally thousands of practitioners all over North America and beyond. And the craft is back and is fully alive, once again. So that happened. Our
Mhm.
company also evolved and became, really concentrated on the high quality building, the energy efficiency, and using, natural and organic materials to achieve, this goal of making um, the best quality homes more available to people.
Mm,
So we started out, with a small crew. I can tell you now we have moved a couple of times. And now we have 140 people in the company. Um,
congratulations.
architects, engineers, project managers, of course, timber framers and woodworkers, and another staff that is focused on manufacturing high quality insulated panels that we then insulate or assemble into completed buildings and homes all over North America, but particularly because of our location here in the Northeast.
Wow, that's so cool. And at what point, I mean, I'm looking at your bio. It said that at one point you created Unity Homes. Give us the background on that.
Yeah, yeah. So, through the years, here was our company, developing techniques and procedures and um, standards for how we build our homes. And um, of course, the biggest and most important aspect of it was to make these homes more accessible and more affordable for people. And so that led to founding Unity Homes as a separate brand.
Hmm.
That happened in 2012. And the concept of it was a standard of home that was automatically high. We would eliminate the use of fossil fuels, so all these homes would be extremely well insulated. and but enough standardization that would allow us to really lower the cost of these homes. So Unity Homes has 5 what we call platforms, and each of the platforms has a variety of outcomes so that we can meet the architectural interests, the program interests, that is the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, et cetera, that people want, the budgets, but also how it fits on the site and in the neighborhood, all that sort of thing. So it's a very flexible system, but it has enough standardization to lower the cost. So Unity Homes is thriving today as kind of a separate brand in our company, and generally we're doing about 4 Unity Homes a month. So
Wow.
we're
Where are they? Where are they?
they're generally here in the Northeast a lot. We're in New Hampshire, so there's a lot of Unity Homes in Vermont and Maine and Massachusetts and New York, kind of our surrounding states. But we've taken them as far away as Wyoming and down south to North Carolina and Ohio. So pretty broad swath, but concentrated closer to us. Um, basically for the affordability aspect.
That's incredible. Congrats. That's so
Well,
cool. This is like your life work. It's your name on it too. Like that's really, really, that's really cool. What,
well, as you can imagine, I did not do this alone.
oh, of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's a good question. Like, what can you walk through I don't know, like the three milestones over the past 50 years, maybe that's like inflection points that helped you get to where you are, if you think about it.
yeah. I think there were key aspects in the early 1980s, for instance, where we really recognized that if we were going to be successful in our journey, we really needed to take on other skills within the company. So in that period, we developed a very talented architectural staff, engineering staff. We became, quite competent in project management. So we went from just focusing on the execution of the craft to the execution of buildings. That is the architecture, the engineering, and all of the management aspects. So that was a key part. In the 1990s, part of what we recognized is that if we were going to develop a really world class company, we needed to learn from other places. So that began a period where we were really exploring the best standards of building throughout the world. That took us to Germany and Austria and Switzerland and Sweden and Norway and Denmark, to really learn from those in other countries who were already executing building at the highest standards. And one of the things we learned with that is that some of the best building in the world happens in buildings, that is in factories, where you have much more control over the conditions of of manufacturing and assembling and training. And so we became very focused on developing our own offsite building practices. So in 2000, we moved to a new facility uh, to practice that in Walpole, New Hampshire. And that was a key, what you're calling an inflection point, where the company grew, but also changed quite a bit so that we were able to manufacture, wall panels, floor panels, and roof panels offsite so that we could assemble the home on site, not cut it, a piece at a time on site. So that was a real, important change. And then we also did some heavy prototyping in that same period, kind of examining um, how much we can do offsite, how far we should go. So we did prototype projects in conjunction with MIT and a consortium of of companies throughout North America.
Just a small, little known school.
Yeah, yeah,
Not too well known. Yeah.
yeah. And those prototype projects, really taught us what we needed to have to kind of go forward and say, well, here's what we can do, but here's the most important part of the building that we should be concentrating on. And so that's led us, that actually led to the founding of Unity and the development of yet another factory that we opened in 2018 in Keene, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Um, and and so all of our offsite building is done in that factory, whether it's for Unity or for our Bensonwood brand or for what we call tectonics, where we're providing high quality offsite building for other builders, architects, and developers. So we have three brands: Unity. Open Home is the Bensonwood brand that's kind of the sister of Unity, and then Tectonics
Tectonic.
for others.
Cool. What who are the key hires?
Key hires. Well, through the years, our engineers have been really important for the company, of course. Um, but I think we're that kind of company that equally values the serious professions, the architects, the engineers, as well as the carpenters and the timber framers and the building systems teams, the people who are closest to the action. So I wouldn't pick out, you know, individuals. I would just say that we have a really broad and effective team where we value the carpenters close to the action as much as we do the architects and the engineers and the senior leaders in the company. Everybody makes a difference.
Who did you have to be or become to be the type of person that is running a business of your size?
That's a good question. First of all, I was a carpenter and a timber framer in those early years. So I came to work every day and put my work belt on, with my bags and my tools and my hammer and
How many
my
years was
tape.
that? How many years was that? Did you do that?
Oh, I would say 1972 to 1982, so a full 10 years. And it took me a long time to take that work belt off and say, you know what? If we're really going to make a difference, actually, I'm going to have to learn a new craft. And, that's going to be the craft of business, the craft of being a leader and a facilitator and not the, frontline practitioner. And so over the years, I can tell you sometimes that's been kind of difficult. But on the other hand, really rewarding, to be surrounded by the best woodworkers, engineers, timber framers in the country who are, right there, and so as I'm, working on the business side of it, it's pretty easy knowing you're backed up by such incredible talent. At the same time, still I miss being in the field. I miss, putting buildings together every day and watching the effect of your work, and
Mm-hmm.
being able to measure it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Yeah. So different kind of satisfaction today, but I'm pretty proud of our team, our company, and all that we've been able to develop.
Was there I know that I mean after 50 years you've been through a lot of different uh sort of world cycles, right? Like the 70s, the 80s, the 90s,
Yeah.
2000s, right? Like um what keeps you there?
Um, a passion. for the work,
Mm-hmm.
passion for the people around me,
Mm-hmm.
a passion for our mission.
Yeah.
All those things, kind of get to a point where you're saying we have a plan A and this is our intent, and actually we don't have the plan B. The plan A is
No
we're going to
plan B.
achieve
No plan
this,
B.
and
Yeah. No
yeah,
plan B. Yeah.
no
Yeah.
plan B. And as an example of that, when we hit the big recession, and that was
Oh wait.
08, 09, I remember, standing up in front of our company and just saying, I don't know what's going to happen here, but we're going to opt out of this recession.
Oh yeah. You're one of those.
And
I've heard of. Yeah. 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 No. I. Okay. Okay.
I didn't know what that meant at the moment, right?
Did you
So
read that someplace, or was that a mindset that you had?
that was just a mindset. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
And sure enough, it was incredibly difficult period.
Hmm.
But sure enough, we pulled through it as a company and as a team. And I would say it was a credit to our culture as much as anything that we were able to do that.
How did you navigate those times? Because was that worse for you than like the '87 stock market crash and what happened after that?
Yeah, the '87 stock market crash. I have to say we didn't notice it.
Okay.
Um,
Because
I think
smaller.
partially
You were smaller then, maybe,
we
right?
were
Or
we were
more
smaller.
niche,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you didn't have the housing which you had in 2012.
yeah. We didn't have the scale of housing that we
You
had.
didn't have the scale of housing. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that we
You
had.
had housing, but it wasn't formalized as Unity then.
Yeah,
Like
or
you were dabbling.
Bensonwood open home, or
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
tectonics
yeah.
side. Yeah,
Sure,
yeah,
sure, sure.
yeah.
Okay.
So the big thing that we did to pull through that big recession is we just decided that any work that was available, we would do it all. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so we really stretched ourselves to take on, more of projects. We weren't,
Hmm.
just doing, the timber frame or the enclosure, which we had been doing for many years. We took on, all the projects and just made sure our team, was fully employed through that period.
That's so cool. That's so cool. That's so cool. What have you done to like I mean I'm on your Amazon page right now and I see one, two, three, four, five, six, seven books, right? Or no, those are a couple
Yeah,
couple of Kindles, couple of
yeah,
Kindles. You
yeah,
wrote four, right?
yeah. I wrote four, and there's three you'll probably see there.
Mm-hmm.
The middle one, um, I actually wrote twice.
Okay, like you updated it, right? Because one
Well,
of
it wasn't just an update. I wrote the first one of those in 1984, and the next one in literally 10 years later. And so much had changed, and so much had been improved that I just wrote another book. And
mm,
it was kind of the same organization, but new photos, new text, new information, because we had advanced so much, in that period, that it's called the second edition, but it was really a new book as far as the author is concerned.
yes, yeah, 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 yeah. It's new information.
Yeah,
What I mean, you literally developed a personal brand before personal branding was a thing. um,
yeah,
um, that's really cool. I mean, you're extremely the passion shows through if you write a book about something that's literally what you're supposed to be doing. Um, tell what does your day to day look like right now?
well, now as I said, we have a big staff, 140 people, and so I'm not, kind of in the weeds in any part of the company. We have a great, leadership team, so I'm more involved in working on the company than in the company. to make sure that we're going to be here and effective and growing in the next 50 years, even if I'm not here. So I'm really working on succession planning and thinking about that long future that obviously eventually I won't be a part of, but I want to make sure it's not dependent on me. And I can tell you clearly, it's not. We have a great team and a great
It's not.
culture that
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
not dependent on me. Um, so I can't tell you what's happening all over the company right now while we're having this podcast. But there are lots of people who are very busy and being effective, and we have probably multiple projects out in the field today,
Hmm.
of different types, both Unity and Bensonwood, and so all of that is happening while we're here talking, uh, and I'm having a different kind of influence, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of uh, being a part of something that will definitely live beyond my lifetime.
Is the and that's amazing, by the way. That's an amazing accomplishment. Um, have What was it like to know that, like, you're not, because you started it, you're not really the end all be all of it?
Well, obviously, that was never an objective,
Hmm.
that it would be about me. From the beginning, even from those early days of wanting to revive, timber framing, as a methodology. One of the earliest uh, recognitions, I guess is the right word. One of the earliest recognitions I had is that if it was just me, that's not reviving anything. And so if it was going to be meaningful, there would have to be hundreds, if not thousands, of others doing the same thing.
Yeah,
And if ultimately it was about me, well, that's pretty limiting.
yeah,
Yeah, a lone guy in Southwest New Hampshire reviving something is actually going to be ultimately nothing. But if we engender others to do the same thing, well, then it's the future is unlimited. And that's actually what happened with timber framing. And I'm not even active in the guild today. Um, I mean, I go to conferences, but I'm not on the board. Or
hmm.
um, I spoke a lot at guild conferences over the years. I haven't spoken to one in, I don't know, 8 or 10 years.
And now there
Um,
are like multiple, dozens of types of, and like the byproduct and the mills that are milling and yeah, that's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. And so the same thing is true with other ambitions that sort of I've had, have been really about something bigger than me, from the beginning. And so our company is bigger than me.
Are
And
you competitive
um, well, in a way, but I can tell you that all of my,
in a chill way, maybe, right?
yeah,
Maybe.
maybe in a chill way. Yeah, all of my timber frame um, competitors are usually friends too.
Okay. Okay.
And that same idea has extended to this offsite building that we're doing now. We're really focused
The one
on
in Keene.
the one in Keene and also our Walpole facility.
Yeah.
But this is one of the most advanced factories in North America that we have in Keene. And as other companies, across the country, want to achieve the same thing, we share information with them, and even if they're going to be our competitors, um, because what's important is, can we change the world? Well, yeah, we can change our corner of the world, but if we're working with others and communicating with others and doing things like writing books, well, we actually might be able to, make a big difference in the big world, by association.
I don't say this often at all on my podcast, but I'm really, really inspired talking to you. I'm like,
Thank you.
it's really, really cool. I just to meet somebody with the commitment and the passion to achieving the original vision, and you're probably like still finding ways to tweak the vision along the way, and you must be so excited that now the thing you wanted to do 40, 50 years ago are now possible because of technology, and
Mhm.
boundaries are now being broken because time and space doesn't matter because we can communicate. It's not like you got to write a letter, right? It's not like you need to look in the yellow pages. Like we can do business from wherever we are in the world, and time zones don't even matter. And your idea of timber frame can inspire somebody in, Jakarta
Yeah, yeah,
or Dakar, right? Like wherever it is, it's like the passion and the purpose, and even the 160 people, uh like the ripple effects of that are just wide now, right?
yeah,
Like I see it.
yeah, yeah. You said it perfectly, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it perfectly, and that's exactly right. I know that there's two guild members of our Timber Framers Guild. There's mostly North America. There's two of them, friends of mine, who are heading over to Sweden on Saturday to do seminars, in
Uh-huh.
Sweden on timber framing.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, do I
Yeah,
have anything
don't
to do
they?
with
They
that?
have they have a species out in what's their species out? I think they have good timber framing lot material out there, because I actually know a couple um of folks that build log cabins with like using old techniques. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hand techniques.
hand techniques. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, and incredible craftspeople. Yeah, that's for
Um,
sure.
what I mean, for the business size that you've built and the life that it's afforded you to have, what was a nice to have thing that you didn't expect that you were able to achieve as a result of building this business? Like what is it, either an experience or like a lifestyle, or just like a thing that you like thoroughly enjoy now that you didn't think that was possible because of this business?
That's an interesting question. um, well, for one thing, just being able to enjoy a company culture,
Mm,
that
mm,
is so vibrant. When I'm at home now, and I left the Walpole facility around noon today, and it was beautiful day, and there was probably 40 people sitting around picnic tables and chatting around lunch, and here I'm walking away from that saying, wow, what a wonderful company, what a wonderful team, what a wonderful community. It probably, besides the building side of it, it's it's the biggest and most important thing I've been a part of. That is, creating that kind of culture with others, and clearly, that's not me. One person doesn't make a culture. Community makes a culture, and the fact that it's been so vibrant and alive, um, with or without me, has just been, fun and satisfying and humbling, and all of that. Another piece of that, Steve, that I think is really important in all of this is, we've achieved a lot as a company for sure, but it's not the kind of thing where you've marched to the top of a mountaintop and planted a flag.
Yeah.
It's really, like a path, and the
It's a
most
it's
important.
a it's a continuum, right? Like
Yeah,
like trees growing. You're like it's this it's evolving, it's changing. Sometimes a storm comes through. Sometimes you gotta you gotta take out the weaker trees so that the bigger trees can grow, right?
yeah,
It's this. It's not like I understand what you mean. It's you're not you're not looking for this destination. It's trying to embed the ethos of the mission into sort of everyday living.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why it can go on forever. Just as you said, with your analogy of trees in a forest, there's no end to it. It's just, kind of managing the health of it.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Um, what what do you have planned for this year?
Well, a big thing, kind of personally and for the business is that I've been, very close to, for instance, sales and marketing. I'm involved in some of that right now, and I'm trying to get to the point with the help of the company and leaders where I'm really going to pull back from that as a part of the succession and
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that's hard too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
easy to say, but I think in this year I will be out of day to day management entirely, and more in a chairman of the board role or CEO role, and not really helping to make sure that we're we put together the right leadership team and the right culture so that the company can move on without me. So
Yeah.
I'm looking. I'm planning big bike rides.
Big. Yeah. Cool. That's very cool. That's very cool. That's awesome. Awesome. All right. So I'll see what we could do here, but this is the part of the podcast where I give you any marketing or business advice. So, is there anything that you'd like to, if you'd like to think through or brainstorm about that I can help you with, or just get an extra set of eyes and ears on?
Well, we have no end to our ambitions and interests. So if there's anything that you can contribute to our mission and our dream of bringing high quality, um, healthy buildings to more people, bring it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, please bring it.
yeah,
We're humble about this,
for
and
sure.
recognize that we don't know everything. So we've reached out across the world and
Yeah, yeah,
connected with people wherever we can who can contribute to our process.
for sure. Well, I mean, maybe to think about that. I saw that you have, your five different packages with Unity Home. Um, I almost feel like, are you partnering with developers on that, or are you partnering with individual landowners? Like, how does that
It's
look?
it's mostly individual landowners,
Yeah.
but we have partnered with developers. We big part of a development up in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
On the Bensonwood side, we're partnering on a development down in New York,
Mm-hmm.
right now. So
Yeah.
that's an important growth strategy for the company, is to partner more with developers who, have the same values and the same goals that we have, for our homes. So that's
Yeah.
important.
I mean, this feels like a total reoccurring theme with folks of your size business, is that you have such a proven model. You have the mission, you have the vision, you have the values, you have the team. The only thing really missing is that I want to hear more stories. Um, I want to hear in-depth stories of you and your team and the people buying the homes, because like I've done 360 plus episodes of podcasts, right?
Uh-huh.
Aside from that, so that's 30 to 45 minutes every time. I've talked on the phone with hundreds of other people in this space, and so like I've developed this perspective. And right now, technology is of the time and time in the space where you can uh, really influence people. And it's happening, right? Like elections can be influenced, right? Like car habits can be influenced,
Mhm.
eating habits, purchasing power, like, and if I encourage people like yourself to like really really dive in to the story, like, and because the same way that you're literally still selling books from 1981, you
How about
should
that?
isn't that wild, right? Like I wrote a book during the pandemic. It's called Life Purpose Secrets, 10 ways to find meaning in times of uncertainty, right? And so that was like
Congratulations.
thank you. That was a little my little contribution while people were making sourdough bread. I wrote a book. And so one of the things that I see is that Unity Homes is a great name and a great brand. And I feel like with the right messaging could be way bigger. And to be able to find the right outlet and channel, uh and diversification of the audience and the message, like, it is unity is actually what we need in the world right now. It's right, like we actually need
Yeah.
unity, like we
Yeah.
actually need to have conversations. And so the important thing behind all of it is being able to tell the stories and being able to find the right distribution channels that are thinking bigger than you, to be able to like get that message out even more, and so I mean, it's pretty broad, but I think bottom line is like, maybe in the next phase of your career, right? As you are working on succession, maybe you are the architect of the storytelling and the legend and the curation of your company's legacy, right? Because I ran a business for almost 20 years, and I recently had and like something came up and I was talking to somebody and I was like, "Hey, you didn't know this?" And I assumed that they should have. But by the time I was telling them about something, I realized that they were a young child when that happened. And it's kind
Hmm.
of frustrating that they just didn't know that that was the way it was. And the reason why they're able to do what they're doing now is because of a contribution that somebody did 10, 15, 20 years ago. Like, that is important. Like, history is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like, you own up to the history, you curate the history. I mean, I listened to uh this musician talk about his how he collects old people. Like, he was like, all of my musical heroes are dead, right? Like Michael Jackson and Prince, right? Like Janis Joplin, all these people, like, they're all dead. But like, we have to preserve their history in order
Mhm.
for to show. And so for me, that's what I see. It's like, how do you preserve your history? How do we tell more stories? And how do you elevate the craft even more, so like it becomes a platform for others to like feed off of?
That's good advice.
Thanks. Well, I'm inspired by your work. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice. We should be talking to my our marketing manager.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, happy to talk to him.
Yeah,
Totally happy to talk to him. Totally.
yeah.
Cool. Ted, thank you so much. Your website, bensonwood.com, Unity Homes, look it up on Instagram and website. Um, but thank you so much for your time. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I look forward to getting your story out.
Thank you. I appreciate it,
All right.
and thank you for the good conversation. This was fun.
All right. Take care. Bye.